Speech Center. On the panel today we have Alex, we have Eric, Alec, Seth, Hunter, and myself, Nick. I'm going to turn over to Hunter. He's going to start us off.
Alright. So today on Speech Center we will talk about soccer, baseball, golf, and football. And with that we also talk about some sports that also don't involve balls, which include ice skating, gymnastics, swimming, and skateboarding. So to begin with, we will start with the development of football over time.
Now, football. Football is a great American sport. What's better than a bunch of guys in the field just being men, slamming into each other really hard, and just getting down and being happy? Well, right here, we've got the first helmets and the first football uniforms.
Leatherhead.
Good old leatherheads. Didn't do much for protection, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah, but he looks so much more masculine with that. I mean, I would rather watch someone with that on there.
He's also much more likely to die with that leather helmet.
Yeah, concussions like crazy.
I mean, look at that thing he's got in his head now, the Bucks player. Pretty heavy stuff.
Concussion proof, right?
Almost.
Almost. They're getting there.
They're getting
Technology.
pretty close.
It's better than a little piece of leather on your head. That's for sure.
Now here we got the old pigskin and a new pigskin. The reason they used to call it pigskin, that's made out of pig leather. Even nowadays we still call it pigskin.
Toss me the pigskin.
It isn't actually pig leather anymore though. They switched to cow or just polyurethane.
You saving for bacon?
Yeah.
Yeah, bacon.
We got the helmets too. We got the old style all the way to the new one. And the newest helmets, Toyota has actually developed a sensor for the helmets.
Is Toyota like the car company?
Yeah.
Really?
What? So you have like Toyota on your head.
Well, it's inside the helmet, they got the logo, but the sensor itself will detect the force of an impact on the head, and it will let you know if that force can cause a concussion in a person.
Was it talk to you? Goes bing, bing, bing. Hey, buddy, you got a concussion?
No, it sends a signal to a computer off the field that a coach or a team doctor can actually look at and check the stats and check the impact force. And the cleats, we've gone from just simple leather cleats with no spikes to extravagant, what we got right here. The spikes have gone from just pieces of wood or pieces of metal to polyurethane resin or plastic. It's a lot more grip in the field.
Got a little video of the progression.
A look behind the scenes as sports and science converge, brought to you by AT&T. In the contact sport of football, one of the most important pieces of equipment is the protective pad that still left the delicate lower rib cage area exposed. How have football pads rocketed into the 90s? The answer in a moment. With a revolutionary new open cell foam and high molecular weight, high-density polyethylene plastic, the new Pro Model shoulder pad with Pro Custom attachment provides space-age protection for today's football players.
Now when you're getting hit here with the open cell type air system padding that we're using, it's dispersed 360 degrees throughout the air system, and air moves in the vectoral force motion and just disperses the energy a whole lot better.
Power, the exclusive shoulder pad supplier to the World League, has even replaced a traditional separate flak jacket with a new zip-on ribcage pad in use by all teams. One-piece high-tech protection for the 90s. This sports science segment has been...
The rules have really evolved in football from a point where they would actually make up new rules on the field for the old games back in the 20s. They would have a good idea, like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. They'd write it in the rule book, and they'd use that.
Yeah, you used to be able to actually hit people.
Yeah, now you hit a quarterback, they threw a roughing the passer on
You
you.
might as well play flag football.
Yeah, right. We're going back to two-hand
I don't know why you
touch.
guys are complaining at all. There's not like a football sport that a girl can go and tackle somebody. There's nothing like that.
Actually, you're wrong, because they do have a football league for women. It is a lingerie football league, but they hit harder than most of the men.
course.
So
They go
You
full
get to the house,
tackle. It's
they
not
get
like
ready
pansies
now.
stepping out of
Yeah.
bounds and stuff.
they do hit.
This whole man created that sport.
Of course.
So talking about throwing balls, let's go over to baseball now, which we can talk about the development within this.
All right, baseball. It's the national pastime. It was started a long time ago. Became professional in the 1800s. It actually came from cricket.
No.
Yeah,
Cricket.
cricket.
Like just hitting it back and forth or whatever.
Hitting it.
You got the diamond now.
Yeah,
You
diamond,
got,
home run derby, everything.
Did they do like home run derbies with cricket too?
I don't think so. I'm not a
That would
cricket
be
expert,
sweet.
so yeah.
That's
So
what started.
baseball's changed a lot since we first started. This right here is Ted Williams. Notice on Ted Williams, the batter, he's not wearing batting gloves. He
Yeah,
doesn't have.
Alex Williams right here.
Yeah, maybe
That's
related.
actually my distant uncle.
Cool.
I can see there was that once.
Yeah. There's no batting gloves, no elbow pads. The catcher, he's only wearing a ball cap and maybe a little bit of a face mask. That's it. The umpire's not wearing very much. We fast forward to 2014, we got Big Poppy over here, David Ortiz. He's wearing an elbow pad. He's got batting gloves. Look at the catcher. He's ready for full contact battle right there. Even the umpire, who's just standing behind him, he's ready to go, man.
All these padding and technology advancements, but they're still hitting with the wooden baseball bat?
Yeah, they're still hitting with the wooden bat, and that's because if you're getting a ball thrown at you at 100 miles an hour and you hit it with a metal bat, it's going to come off the bat even faster than that 100 miles an hour, and the pitcher's only like 90 feet away. So that's why they still use the wooden bat.
All right.
But
But,
even in Little League, my brother plays, there's certain bats that they can't use because the composite material is too strong. It's got too much of a flex to it, so the ball comes off at
Okay.
way too high of a speed for them to actually be safe.
Yeah, and check this out. Look at these. This is some baseball gloves. This is a glove from 1938, and then on the right we have over here is what we use right now.
Looks
And
like they grew an extra finger.
yeah, over time I guess they grew an extra finger, but it hasn't changed too much other than that. So yeah, we got that, and then this right here. This is a little video of the Home Run Derby 2014. Giancarlo Stanton plays for the Miami Marlins. Hit a home run 510 feet. Hit a bomb. Let's go ahead and play that.
Did you know Heineken Light won the best tasting light beer at the 2013 World Beer Championships? Apparently there are rules.
I think you notice where he's standing. He's farther off the plate than any one of the hitters. So farther off the plate. No, this is 2/3 of the way up to the upper deck. Wow. Projected 510. That'll work.
All right, so in that video, this home run was 422 feet, but it was projected at 510. Back when they first started the home run derby, they didn't do that. It was you hit it over the park or hit it out of the park. That was the point. Now they're going and projecting distance and everything like that.
5'10" with a wooden bat.
That would have been 510 feet if the stands weren't in the way. Yeah,
That's crazy.
moving along. Baseball, like I said, it's changed a whole lot. Back in the day, see the ball, hit the ball. If you can hit the ball, you can throw the ball, you can catch the ball, and you were good at it, you could probably play in the majors. Now we're moving away from that.
Wait. So you're saying like you can just be good at just hitting the ball,
Yeah.
throwing the ball, and the major leagues will be like, yeah, come play with us.
Yeah, that's how it used to be. Yeah. Now we're moving on into more mathematics in it. They're using on-base percentage, slugging percentage. They're getting into that. So where you're not just looking at a guy that just crushes the ball. They're looking at all sorts of stuff. And this movie Moneyball is actually a true story about the Oakland Athletics. They're 27th in payroll, but they have the best record in all of baseball. And they don't have guys that are phenoms, but they're just average guys. A bunch of average baseball players that get on base, that hit the ball, and that can pitch. And they're doing very
So you
well.
can get like a math degree and go work at a baseball field.
That's
or
right.
work for a baseball company.
That's right. Work in the front office for a baseball team. Absolutely.
Found you a job. You got the math guy over here.
So on the topic of hitting balls, let's transition to golf.
Now golf, it's kind of a high society sport. You don't
Stop
see.
it right here. This is the most boring sport to
Oh,
watch.
stop.
Talk
We
about.
got
Do
it.
anything. It's horrible.
You
It's
see
like a
Ricky
typical
Fowler?
rich
Ricky
old man,
Fowler?
retired.
He's the coolest guy in golf. He's got the flat brim straight
He
hat.
might
He's
be
got
the
the
coolest guy in golf.
orange
It's still a boring
fluorescent
sport.
pants, man.
Let's
He's
go
the
out there,
coolest.
grab a couple beers, have a cigar, and attempt to hit a ball with a club. I mean, come on.
That's what
Let's be
some
real.
people do, but other people actually take it seriously.
That's a pretty serious sport nowadays. It started with the Scottish, and they used to hit these solid leather balls. It's just leather sewn, and they hit it with a bent stick.
What's with all the leather? Every sport in like the 1900s was all leather.
It's like plastic for the ancients.
Yeah, seriously.
And then they also decided to then stuff it with feathers, which gave it more of a softer core, which led to the modern soft core balls that we have down here.
So they're just stuffing a baby chicken in some leather,
Pretty much.
hitting it down the fairway.
Now we have a hardened core in the center of the ball, but it's surrounded by layers of softer materials that can absorb the impact and radiate the energy towards the fairway.
Yeah, they got like, they're like three quarters now, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the dips on the outside of the ball, a little stippling, actually improves the aerodynamics and how the ball flies through the air, so it can fly better, it can fly faster, it can cut through the wind better.
I don't care how aerodynamic and how many layers it has. I'm not paying $60 for a 12-pack of balls that you're going to hit into the lake and lose.
That's actually a big business, going into lakes and diving down there, getting the balls. People are making hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that.
Really? That's
Yeah.
because they're $60.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now here we got the old clubs. These are original sets of golf clubs that they used to use. You just got a stick here. They just hit the ball with the stick, and then we moved on to the more shapely head that gives a better striking face to the ball. Here we have a set of early 20th century clubs that are steel, and they would just take a chunk of steel and they pound it out with a steam punch, and they stick the stick in
So
there.
you got like a blacksmith to make your clubs for you?
Yeah, modern day blacksmith. Just a steam punch, and you got the shape of the club. And now we moved on to something even cooler. We have graphite, titanium, and carbon fiber, and each of these space-age materials combines into the new drivers that we use. The shaft of the golf club itself is made out of graphite. It's extremely strong. And the head of the driver, the bottom part, where the strike face and the driver itself is, the main body, is made out of titanium, which is extremely light, but it's as strong as steel. Now, carbon fiber they use for the top of the driver head, so it gives it a hollow inside, but it has an extremely strong outer shell. And we've been having problems lately with titanium clubs. If you're in the rough and you have your ball in the rough and there's a rock nearby, you can actually strike the rock with a titanium club and it causes sparks and it'll set the fairway on fire. There's a couple incidents in California where actually entire courses burned.
So you're saying like all this science and just mashing a couple elements together makes the ball go like 400 yards?
A lot farther, yeah, with a lot less weight behind your head. You don't swing a huge chunk of wood.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Now, video games have taken a lead role in golf. This is a simulator that they use to project your swing and the path of the ball. They can take the data from just your swing and the impact on a stationary ball target, and they can compute it into a drive down a fairway. You can play on any course in the world with this, and you can see how good you would be on those courses. You can scout the courses, and you can see how you would play.
So you're saying I can be in my house and like go and play around in Augusta and not even live in a...
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
And these GPS-tracked golf balls, they got a little chip inside of them. You lose your ball, you bring it up on your smartphone, it's got a GPS location of the ball.
And those are like $60 a piece instead of $60 for 12.
But at least you can find these.
Yeah, right.
And here we have a computer-generated example of what cameras can do. They'll take the camera and follow the shot of the golf ball. And as they follow the golf ball, the camera can track the vapor trail of the ball, and it can project a path to where it'll land, based on the angle that the ball's been hit and the angle the swing is going at.
I think golf has like the most progression out of any of the sports. I mean, look at these GPS ball, video game systems, vapor trails. Like,
Yeah,
what
it's
is
crazy.
It's crazy, man.
And here's an excellent example of a new piece of technology that we're using to train golfers to better their swings.
We have chosen a few typical and frequently occurring swing problems to show some ways how these can be corrected with the topswing. There are many more options to use the topswing for learning, teaching, and working on the golf game.
The topswing robot will take a club and it'll grip it, and as you swing, it can correct your swing and it can show you the perfect way to swing a golf club. And the instructor behind you will actually move your foot and your shoulders and shift them to how it should be. And with that machine, it can take a golfer's swing, a famous golfer like Tiger Woods or Arnold Palmer, and it can show you how they swing and the movement of their shoulders and the way the club moves. It's incredible. They can program a robot to do that for you.
It's like a muscle memory thing. Keep
Yeah.
doing it so often, you'll do it every time.
So talking about hitting the ball with the heel and toe of the club, let's transfer to actually using your heel and foot to hit the soccer ball, which is with soccer. The ball here is the leather ball, which has been around for about 2,000 years, basically. It's the ball they've been using. They actually used it for a while back in Rome. That's the one they've got now. But with technology, we've become to use synthetic rubber, which with all these crazy designs, with this actually being the actual design for the FIFA World Cup of 2014.
And the cool thing about those balls, they don't have stitching on them anymore. That is just fused plastic. They don't have the stitches. And because they don't have the stitches, there's no way for the wind to catch on strings or anything that can be coming out of the ball, and it keeps the ball together a lot longer in a FIFA match.
So instead of like football, where you go from one type of leather to another type of leather, we're actually just cutting leather all together and going to plastic.
Leather, yeah.
That's crazy.
So, back when they first invented cleats, they were basically all the same. They didn't have the technology we have today where you can invent one type of cleat for soccer, one type of cleat for basketball, which we now have today with these shoes, which you can basically see all these crazy colors on them. You can basically get whatever you want, whatever your favorite color is for any sport. But as you see here, just the basic same shoes as we had in the football, just same cleats. But as time progressed, we didn't used to have shin guards, and there were so many shin injuries that we eventually developed them. And now today, that's basically all they really wear for protection, but...
That is the worst, getting hit in the shin by anything. Like, that's just the worst pain. Can I just wear, like, those shin guards 24/7?
Go for it.
Because I get hit in the shins all the time, it seems like. Okay, so with the turf and the grass, all like ball sports used to be played on just grass. And the technology has progressed so much that we've made a synthetic grass, which is called turf. And this is so significant because the injuries, it seems like, as you can see here, the body parts and the tissue type injuries, related injuries, actually have gone down significantly since we went from grass. And this is great. We have a little video on soccer. They used, in this last World Cup, they used this thing called
can have the referees in.
And once the ball has crossed the goal line, or the plane of the goal, there is a radio signal created and is sent to the referee's watch.
Whilst the English Premier League have introduced the Hawkeye system, FIFA have opted for goal control. It's the same system that was trialled successfully at last year's Confederations Cup here in Brazil.
And the crucial moments will involve these. Every match official will be wearing one of these special watches which will be told in less than a second whether or not a goal has been scored. There's no doubt this is a huge step for football's biggest competition, and one that is long overdue.
It's a bit late.
So there's a little chip inside the ball, and there's sensors on the goal, so when the ball goes through the goal, even if it goes through just a little and comes out, it'll say goal on their watches, and they can instantly know if it was a goal or not.
So you mean you can't just look at the goal and see if the ball went in?
No,
and
there
be
were
like,
so
okay,
many
goal,
goals that were actually not goals, or there were so many not goals that were actually goals.
Oh, okay.
And
Interesting.
now it's a foolproof way to know if your team scored or not.
Now here's probably my favorite piece of tech in the World Cup. This is a spray used by the refs that during a penalty kick, the team that is defending would actually move 2 to 4 meters up towards the guy who's kicking, which is extremely unfair. So you know, the spray, it's like a foam that they just spray on the grass, and after about 3 minutes it dissolves, but it clearly defines the penalty line that the other team has to stay behind before the guy kicks. Because there was so many problems in previous World Cups and even regular stateside matches where the team would encroach on the guy with the ball, and it would cause missed penalty kicks and crazy amounts of penalties that were lost and possible wins of games.
So like they just got shaving cream and just sprayed it on.
Yeah, quick dissolve shaving cream.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Okay, the future of soccer. It's really expensive to go to the World Cup and to pay all this money for housing and the airfare and all that stuff. So what they're developing is a system where, for example, next year, next World Cup, they're going to be in Russia. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't go to Russia to watch some soccer games. I'd rather watch it on TV. But actually, they're developing a system of holographics that you can put in any stadium or any field and actually watch the current game going on in Russia with holograms on the actual field. So you can just go up to Orlando and go to the stadium and watch the World Cup matches.
So we've been talking about all these sports with balls, so let's get off topic and go to sports with no balls.
Okay, skateboarding, I mean, it doesn't involve any balls, but it takes a lot of balls to hike yourself down a huge flight of stairs. I mean, this is the old days though. This is back in the 80s and the 70s when the boards were completely flat. They had these little tiny trucks with these big wheels on them, and they would go in backyard pools and bowls and all that stuff, and they would go do skateboarding in pools. I mean, that was the cool thing to do. But now we have entered a generation where we just like hucking ourselves down these huge flights of stairs for some reason. And this is the biggest ollie recorded today. It's Aaron Moki, aka Jaws. He hucked himself down this giant flight of stairs because why not?
Is the next picture when
He
him
ate it
wiping out?
so many times.
Probably, I guess it's still got a nickname Jaws.
Yeah, right. So we see the progression in the old days and today. We still do pool skating and bowl skating, but we've gone a lot further in our technology. Technology, what I'm saying is the board and the shoes, but mainly the board. It used to be just a flat wooden board, one ply, super thick, with these tiny wheels and these tiny trucks and these big wheels. And now we've went pretty much opposite. We take 8 plies of wood now and flatten them together to make something about 7/4 of an inch thick. And we have the concave and the lip and the nose, and then we have the long skinny trucks and the small wheels. And this is great for tricks. This is mainly for trick skating instead of the bowls where you don't need all that stuff. So we have a little video, sports science with Nigel Houston.
To examine the physics of skateboarding, we enlisted the X Games defending street skate champion, Nigel Houston. First, force. Nigel is able to ollie up to more than half his own height because of an imbalance of forces around the board. Foot sensors reveal Nigel presses down on the tail with nearly 300 pounds of force, about twice his body weight. Acting as a lever, the board rapidly rotates around the rear wheels, or the fulcrum, at 600 degrees a second. When the tail makes contact with the ground, an equal and opposite reaction force rebounds the skateboard, giving liftoff. And because gravity exerts an equal force on all objects, Nigel and his board are able to travel through the air in unison. Next up, friction. The grip tape on top of Nigel's skateboard is made from a sandpaper-like silicon carbide material, which actually forms bonds with the molecules on the bottom of Nigel's shoes. When airborne, as Nigel slides his feet, the resistance created from breaking these bonds enable him to control the direction of the board's motion. With a simple kick of a foot, lasting just 0.12 of a second, Nigel can bring the skateboard to the optimum height and rotate the board at about 1,800 degrees a second. That's as fast as a helicopter would. Finally, balance. When Nigel grinds, he has to pinpoint 1,200 pounds of landing force on a surface only about half the width of a hockey puck. Even though Nigel's arms account for only 12% of his total mass, they are crucial for balance. While gymnasts tuck in their arms to increase angular velocity, Nigel's arms extend.
So, going on to the next sport, we have another type of skating, which you probably all know of as ice skating.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ice skating is the oldest sport in the Olympic Winter Games program. It was first contested in 1908 in the London Games, and ever since 1976, it has been the 4th event in the program, so it has been a great success. Now, that success is actually much thanks to two particular Americans. One, his name is Edward Bushnell from Philadelphia, and he revolutionized skating by adding the steel-bladed skates that we know here in 1850. You can see that they were these steel-bladed skates.
Wait, so they weren't like boots? They were just flat platforms with metal on the bottom?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
You just tie them on? That's
Yeah,
cool.
those little holes right there for you.
And then of course over time we were able to develop them into the more modern skates that we know today. And then also we have Jackson Haynes, who was a ballet master living in Vienna at the time, and he was able to add the graceful dancing type qualities for figure skating that we know today. And here is actually a short clip that provides a very good example of that.
He's on fire. This is great.
And Blades of Glory.
Good movie. That was a fantastic movie. And that very style of figure skating would not be possible if it weren't for Jackson Haynes, who has actually been referred to as the father of figure skating.
He looks like Santa Claus.
Dude,
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
The Father of Ice Skating's Father Christmas.
Now, before the Civil War broke out, in fact, actually, ballet and ice skating were very, very big in our country, but they were completely separate. They were their own thing, and when Jackson Haynes first sought to combine them, Americans just completely scoffed at him. They did not like the idea, and so he moved to Europe, in Vienna, where he was welcomed with open arms, and they embraced the idea. And while he was in Vienna, the international style of figure skating was born, but it wasn't until the early 1900s that this style was able to move to America. And at first, when it came to America, there were no qualifications whatsoever. Any idiot could do it. Ice skating shows were performed at carnivals. It was not a big thing. It took quite a while for it to develop a solid reputation in America when they were able to perform more professional ice skating shows. And this popularity that eventually came had actually started with a lovely Norwegian woman named Sonja Hennie. Now, Sonja Hennie was an extremely accomplished woman. She was actually a 3-time Olympic champion. She won the World Championship 10 times and the Europe Championship 6 times. She also introduced the skating outfit with a short skirt that most female figure skaters wear today, that we know. And after World War II, many of the European ice skating rinks were destroyed, and so after that, Americans and Canadians began to make a much bigger name for themselves in ice skating, finally. Unfortunately, in 1961, this right here is actually what I should say was the U.S. skating team and their coaches. In 1961, they were all killed in a plane crash on their way to the World Championships. That did not help ice skating in America at all, of course. And it took a long time for Americans to rebuild their team. It took a lot of struggle, but eventually they were able to. But in the meantime, the Soviet Union became a very strong competitor. But, like I said, eventually they were able to rebuild their team, and more people began to appreciate the beauty and grace that is ice skating. And now it is one of the most watched events in the Olympics.
It reminds me of We Are Marshall. You ever see that old football movie? Yeah, very good movie.
Now we have ice places everywhere for like first dates and everything.
Alright, don't have to wait for like me.
Yeah.
So as you can see, ice skating has all this spinning and crazy dances in it, which also comes along with gymnastics, which instead of on ice, they basically just do it on this, but there's like mats everywhere, but they still do crazy tricks such as they do in ice skating.
They do crazy tricks, and then it took them a while to start that. It was introduced in Greece, and they had all types of things. There was actually swimming, weightlifting, and wrestling that was involved in gymnastics, and they kind of stopped doing that. It did start off as a naked sport. You did this naked, and it was a men's sport.
So a bunch of women designed that one.
Yeah.
Hasn't
Finally, we got one on one of the men.
Doesn't come too far though. They wear like a little tiny unitard or whatever.
We're still half naked, but we're clothed. You can't see
A bunch
anything.
of girls all got together like, you know what would be great one day? We invite a bunch of guys over to our stadium, get them all oiled up and naked, and watch them wrestle each other.
That's probably what happened.
That's pretty much what happened. The first modern Olympic Games for the men didn't start until 1896, and for the women it didn't start until 1936. And in 1952, or before 1952, they didn't have separate events. They did them together, and the men and women both did the same event. In 1952, they started with the separate events. In the early competitions for the Olympics, the men's gymnastics for like Germany, Sweden, Italy, they dominated. That's where they started off, so they were pretty well known. But in the 1950s, Japan and the Soviet Union and all the other Western European countries started to dominate, even in the female competition. Gymnastics hasn't really developed in technology that much, but there are videos now that you can like watch yourself so you can improve your techniques and see what you've done wrong and try and correct anything you have. And here's a little video to show you.
Justin Lopez is Venezuela's top gymnast. Increases momentum with 2 planes rather than 1. And she's over 1,500 watts of energy. When she leaps, that's the same amount of power my power produces when he launches for a dunk. And Lopez is less than half his weight. Lopez is in the air for 7/10 of a second. And her center of mass reaches a maximum height close to 7 feet. That means she can jump over an average racehorse. As Lopez swings on the uneven bars, she's being pulled outward by what's known as centrifugal force. At her fastest, Lopez is fighting a force of about 400 pounds, nearly 4 times her body weight, and about the same amount of G-force an IndyCar driver experiences at top speed. As she releases the bar, she uses centripetal force to continue her rotation. By tucking her body closer to her rotational point, she actually speeds up to 900 degrees a second and increasing rotational velocity by close to 70%. And incredibly, Lopez is still able to read roughly.
So one extra stroke.
Yeah, 1 extra stroke got him. He won it. They won gold.
They didn't have that. They probably would have just said that the bottom guy won, not Michael Phelps. Because it looks like he touched his first, but he takes that extra stroke and actually touches it first.
I think they figured out something like maybe just the tip of your finger was the distance between the two.
Yeah.
That's crazy how the pressure pads are coming into the sport.
So that is the end of our show for today. And on the next episode, we will talk about basketball, softball, tennis, bowling, and tons of other sports. So it was nice having you guys watching us, and this has been Speech Center.
Speech Center.